Look at how Facebook can do just that, stay fresh and make more money from its almost 700 million users. Joining us to help talk about that, Bob Rice. He's the general partner of Tangent Capital Partners. That's a merchant bank which focuses on pre-public companies like Facebook. Also back with us, Brad Adgate, director of research over at Horizon Media, an ad placement company for multiple media channels. So guys, great to have you here.
Thank you. Okay.
Big question is monetization. Brad, let me start with you. I mean, how are they going to do it here in your view?
Well, they could do it a number of ways. I don't know if anyone's going to work, but obviously increasing advertising rates is the most logical answer. I mean, that's something the networks and television may be able to do quite well. You could kind of set up a subscription opportunity where you kind of come in and just, certain parts of Facebook you have to pay for. Some of it might be get a piece of social commerce. The way Apple gets 30% when you download iTunes
so
or something like that.
So they could, but do you buy it? Do you think that's what they're going to do?
I don't know. That's a long shot. I mean, it's been around for 7 years. People are used to it. They may say, I don't want to be on this and pay for this. And as Sheila pointed out, there's an issue of how many people are subscribing to Facebook or who are active users.
Yeah, and that is a good point, Bob. I mean, we look at Facebook and about $2 billion in revenues, the number being kicked about. Compare that with about $30 billion for Google. I mean, what do you think? Are there real ways for Facebook to monetize its business?
Look, I think that it's clear that Facebook will be able to generate more revenues in the future than they're generating now. But that's not the real question is, are they going to be able to generate revenues that are going to justify a $50 to $100 billion IPO? And to me, that's a lot more questionable, especially because there are more and more competitors in this space, and there's some really major trends that are starting to evolve. Mobile computing and the integration of Twitter into the new Apple mobile operating system is a huge threat, I think, to Facebook. So the question is,
you don't think Facebook can adapt into kind of in the mobile world?
They can, sure, they might be able to adapt, but the question is it really worth $50 or $100 billion for you to take that gamble that they're going to be able to adapt and find new ways to monetize the
What about gaming as a way of monetizing, making money, Brad?
Well, that's a huge industry. Advertisers love gaming, social gaming. They can interact with players. They can reward. For instance, you watch a video, you'll get some credits, and you can get credits to buy seed or feed on Farmville and so on and so forth. So, it's a huge opportunity to advertise like. But again, how much does Facebook get of that?
I mean, how skeptical are you guys that Facebook is going to be as big as it is today in 5 or 10 years?
Well, I've been saying for a long time on your air, I'm very skeptical of that idea. I mean, things really are changing, and you're already seeing some significant demographic changes. We were talking before about the fact the average age is getting older. As more parents come on, more children flee from the platform. And so, there are some real challenges here.
Ken Oletta was with us yesterday. He wrote a book on Facebook, and he said it's the new it company. Brad, you don't buy it?
Well, I think it's kind of peaked almost. I mean, there are issues of privacy. There are a lot more social networks now than there's ever been before, and it's losing active users in the UK, in the US, and Canada. The number of users have dropped over the past month. Its growth is really in places like Brazil, Indonesia, India, China. Of course, if it ever opens up that market, is a huge potential for them. But as Bob pointed out, where's the money in that?
Right, exactly. All right, so let's talk about this valuation for this company. I mean, we've seen numbers about $100 billion. I mean, Bob, does it make any sense?
It's very hard for me to get my arms around that kind of idea. I mean, that's like 2/3 of the valuation of Google, which, as you were just saying, it had $10 billion of profits last year.
So just crazy number in your view?
I think they're crazy. Now, I sat through an analyst presentation the other morning, which was kind of fascinating because the guy was claiming, he was saying that $100 billion was a good price for this company because it's in the same position now as Google was when it first launched. But that's not really accurate because Google had a working, proven, highly profitable model at the time, which was ready to take off, and Facebook doesn't have that.
What about, though, the access to so much information that Facebook has? I mean, that's what everybody says. They're building these great profiles. It's going to be what advertisers dream about.
Well, it's more like a census number. I mean, they could know that, it's kind of like a box office number. You can draw some conclusions, but, they have to walk a fine line between what marketers want and what regulators are holding back. So it's not something like they could say, hey, this is Carol Massar and her birthday's April 29th, and she wants that. But this is, they can only guess that, and you can get get some intelligence, but it's not like a demographic like how many people watch Glee who had Peruvian mothers.
I think it's clear that they will be able to utilize their information about users to increase the click-through rates and their ad rates.
But is it worth $100 billion?
Exactly. Right now, they're suffering from below industry standard click-through rates on their ads. So their ads are actually not performing even up to industry standards right now, much less better. Now, some of the new stuff that they've introduced has started to improve that ad performance, but again, it's really kind of at the margin.
Also not great. I think, Brad, you pointed out that 6 million users in the U.S. left Facebook in May. That's not the kind of metric you want to see.
No, not when you're going for an IPO. Certainly not. And there's certain things about, again, that Bob pointed out. Is this your parents' Facebook? Is this or are they losing early adopters who are the ones that advertisers really want to reach?
So before we overthink this, do they need to IPO Bob pretty quickly? Otherwise, they're going to lose momentum here?
Well, it's not a matter of losing momentum. They have a legal problem. There are over 500 shareholders, it looks like, by the end of this year. So sometime in 2012, they're going to absolutely have to, as a matter of law, start filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission. So once you're doing that, you might as well be public. So the timing is kind of fixed. And from my point of view, they're just going to try to pick the peak of the market to go public in that window.
You agree?
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree with Bob.
You always agree? Yeah, all right. We're going to leave it there. Bob Rice, Brad Adgate. Guys, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Talking about Facebook. Coming